Now you got the mouse for whatever you got to do. Oh, let's close that so you can see this. Original sound on. I hate it when it does that. It goes by default and goes to original sound.
But you want it off, don't you?
No,
Not
you
on.
want original sound on.
On.
Yep.
Okay.
There's Josh.
Gabe.
Oh. My bad. I said there's Josh.
It's Gabe.
It is Gabe. It is
See,
Gabe.
look.
I said Josh. That's my fault. Virdra didn't get it wrong. That was me.
No, don't let him slide.
Yes! It is the 50th anniversary. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank
Who
you.
would have thought?
Right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
No, Keith is not in the shot. I'm not quite
Oh,
sure.
sorry.
But we are doing this thing together because we started this together. So we are celebrating together. He's so used to being over.
All right, so let me wait, where'd I put the middle shot at? Goodness gracious. Sorry, people. All right.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Oh, dude, yeah, look, you are.
yes.
It is I. It is I right here, right here, buddy. All
You
right,
too,
you too.
Josh.
You smile real hard when Josh comes on.
You know what?
You don't
'Cause
smile like
I
that for
feel
Gabe.
like I do
if
smile
I was Gabe,
like
I feel
that
some
for
kind of
Gabe.
way, you know.
I do, because I appreciate.
When Josh come on, she give a hard cheese.
I
you know.
appreciate both of them.
Wow.
Because this, I am so far outside of my comfort zone. I am grateful to both of them.
I don't know, Gabe.
Why is he such an instigator? See, I'm already feeling like this was a mistake. I should have done this by
boy.
myself. I'm already,
I kept trying to tell her. I warned her.
already this is going to go left. Please behave.
I will.
We are. I'm going to launch it now. Wait, here we go. Why is this in my way?
Oh, just close it when it comes up. It does it if you're going off of Ecamm. Ecamm tries to sit in front, so you can tell Ken and Glenn. They're nice
I'm
friends.
not. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see. Okay.
Hello and welcome to episode 50. We are so excited that you are a part of, for us, a milestone. And for this particular episode, I have taken a risk. Those of you who know him know that he is a trickster. So I've taken a risk to have the behind the scenes engineer of the Convos who has supported me from day one in this adventure of going into media, into digital platforming. And so he is co-hosting with me. But let me tell you a little bit about him, because there are things that I did not even realize, and I want to make sure you know the full circle of why he is so valuable, such a key part, and has been a cheerleader in the background and sometimes in the foreground as we have tried to move forward, taking a risk, taking on adventure, and yes, moving through adversity to get to the flip side. So, I am welcoming Keith Pelzer. He is a Grammy Award winning producer, multi-nominated, multi-platinum selling songwriter who has worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. He has produced hits such as Jill Scott's He Loves Me, It's Love, and Cross My Mind, Will Smith's La Fiesta, Floetry's first single Floetic, Music Soul Child's 143, and Darius Rucker's My World, just to name a few. He is one of 6 producers that got their professional start at A Touch of Jazz with DJ Jazzy Jeff. Keith started his music, songwriting, and producing career in the basement of his childhood home right here in Philadelphia. He chose to work and save money to build a small studio, and being a church musician and preacher's kid perfectly prepared him for studio work. The long hours in church on Sunday playing for multiple choirs and singers allowed him to understand vocals and instrumentals along with how it actually affected people. With this pandemic, Keith started a Facebook Live and a YouTube channel called The Convos, which started with him demonstrating, you know him, he loves coffee. So he started where his heart was by teaching people how to make siphoned coffee. And it has just grown from there. Keith is considered a content creator. He creates entertaining and educational material from technology to testimony. Keith is a part of the Ecamm community. Ecamm is an all-in-one live streaming and video production studio for Mac, which he discovered during the pandemic. In this community, as a content creator, he has gained the reputation as the sneaker preach guy. And why would that be so? Well, Keith is also a pastor of the Southern Baptist Church of Philadelphia. He is a 3rd-generation pastor, husband of Bertina Pelzer, and father of 2 sons, Isaiah and my good buddy, Caleb. And if that wasn't enough, he is also an avid bowler and cyclist. Well, for me personally, he has been my cheerleader. He has been my friend. He has been my pastor. And in moments of questioning confidence, he has helped me continue to press through even when I wasn't sure about decisions. He said, go for it. And so my partner in crime behind the scenes, we welcome to the forefront for this particular episode, Keith Pelzer. Welcome to the show.
Yay!
Yay! And the clapping in the background. Yes. So welcome to the show, Keith.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
In the studio with you.
Yes. You know, he cuts up. Most of the time, he is right over to my left, your right.
I'm hiding in the corner.
Pushing buttons and making sure that my feeling of support and the sound for Voice America is clear. But for this particular episode, I actually brought him up to the mic and into the conversation because I really feel like we have a story to share. The experience of moving through a pandemic and launching multiple digital media platforms. And if you saw my Facebook post yesterday, the title and opening of the post said, "When the rest of the world was screaming cancel, Our opportunity became to be called. And right beside me, that entire journey has been Keith. And so I really kind of want to start there. We entered into this journey together out of actually urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Churches around the globe were closing, and I was a speaker, a trainer, a teacher for in-person platforms, and suddenly everything that I had on my books were canceled. And so when we came into this with urgency, even though it started in a place of urgency, what would you say has been the greatest lessons from this experience for you?
One of the things I believe is great experience or lessons is what I'm wearing on my shirt, and that is learn and do.
Yeah.
When something hits you from left and you don't know what to do, you have to learn what do I need to do.
Yeah.
There's a learning process in doing, and so you can just do something, but then if you have to do it first, then you got to go back and learn what did I just do so that I know what I need to do going forward. And when you anticipate forward based off of what just took you off guard, you have to learn what just happened. And then you still have to do because life keeps moving forward.
Yeah.
And so as you move forward, and Diana Gladney wrote this up, and I want to do another shirt where it has do and learn on the backside. So like your idea with your shirts, the backside of something say do and learn, because you have to keep going in the cycle of both.
Yeah. And you know what, that actually, you know what I'm getting ready to say, that reminds me of the steps of growth, which Living Strong absolutely follows from Lakeside Global Institute, and Diane Wagenhaus, she was one of our very first guest co-hosts on the show, and understanding that as human beings, sometimes we're so focused on doing, we miss the step of seeking understanding and actually learning in order to then reflect. And guess what? Because this is life, do again. But we oftentimes, so for those of you who don't know, the steps of growth go from the basement. So there are things that we don't know that we don't know. And once we learn something, or become more aware of something, we step out of the basement onto the step of awareness. But oftentimes people make the mistake of jumping right to action, and they're skipping that step of learning, of unpacking, understanding, and then they've tripped and wonder why isn't this sustainable? Well, you need to pause and invest in what are you learning. Even when something catches you off guard, there's an opportunity to invest in yourself to figure out, okay, how can I continue to learn from this in order to sustain doing, then reflect,
right,
and learn and do some more.
Yes.
Absolutely. So would you say that process, I think it has been a learning for you, but what would you say people are actually still getting sabotaged by, even now in their process of growth? What's sabotaging people?
I would say what's sabotaging people is ignorance is the biggest word. The second word I would have is lack of preparation. Ignorance is going to lead, it's obvious that there's a lack of preparation when there's ignorance, or is preparation in vain. Because go back to your first thing, if there's no learning and you're just doing, there's a time when you're doing it wrong.
Yes.
Yes. And there's something you taught on when we were recording one of your other projects about when you said something about if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? It's like we know why that was good when it was good, but we done progressed, and we can't just sit on that phrase and say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, I've got things around here that ain't broke, but fixing the room up different made the room better. And it wasn't that what I moved out was broke. It's just, okay, it's a new day.
Yeah.
You know, there are cameras that I can use that's not broke, but it's not the best camera for right now.
Yeah.
And so the ignorance is one of those things, and lack of preparation. The ignorance is, I don't want to do it because, and it could be something that, you know, maybe too many people were trying to tell you to change something when you didn't need to change it. And maybe they were wrong, but you can't let that stop you for when that seventh person says the same thing that the other six people aggravated you with. If you're ignorant to that, you won't receive them as the one that's trying to help because you've been beaten so many times. So you have to find other places to make sure that you're prepared for when that seventh or eighth person comes that means you well. And then if you're not, then you're not going to learn, which means you're not going to do the new thing, or you're going to keep doing the old thing.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of that particular episode, when we launched webinars, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, we specifically said that old saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When actually, if we're piggybacking off of what you just said, it's actually not about trying to keep things the same. It's recognizing, well, if it ain't broke, then what do I need to prepare for when it does?
Right. That's good.
And so it's understanding, what do I need to gain more knowledge in that I might be ignorant about at the moment? And how can I prepare for the moment that's down the road? And if I haven't prepared for it, I'm going to miss it.
Yes.
And so many times I think if we're so stuck in a doing stage, we are not continuing to stretch to be prepared for our next. Yeah. So if we were to continue to think about staying clear on your gifts and your purpose, something that I think is going back to the ECAM community that I actually was afraid to do, but I think it's actually tied to your past as well, that you have stayed clear to what you are gifted at. You have stayed clear to what your purpose is tied to, even when things have not necessarily gone the way you wanted them to. Why do you think your nickname and approach of Sneaker Preach in every environment has resonated so well with both ministry as well as marketplace? Wow.
So one word I'm trying to, because my wife was telling me I talk a lot at times, it is authenticity. Okay. That's the easiest word without being complicated or authenticity. What I mean by authenticity is, this is who I am. Okay. Your authentic self. Your authentic self is kind of like, if you're funny, somebody should know that you're funny when you're done. You can find a way to be in a bourgeois territory around these folk, but still they'll know you're funny. If you're serious, then if you're laughing all the time, then it throws people off. What's your authentic self? Quiet people aren't mean and separated, or I don't mess with you. And loud people aren't, the irritating person all the time. It's really being authentic to who you are. Getting to the Sneaker Preach, the authenticity in who I am, I have to put it on, not just because I'm a pastor, but it's just always been me. Okay. I believe and I'm into the new creation, 5:17, 2 Corinthians, in Christ, you're a new creature, old things are passed away. There's something new. There's a nature shift. That nature has to carry out. So the thing I would say about the wolf dog and the wolf dog is domesticated. That wolf dog is going to wait for the dog food, is going to wait for the bowl, is going to sit, is going to look at a gate that he can jump over and never jump over it. The wolf, by his nature, is going to jump over the gate, go eat the deer, snatch the refrigerator open, and pull everything out the cabinet. I just have to be me. No matter how many signals and stuff people try to train you into a box, I can't do it. And so in everything, all of my circles of influence, everything that I'm going to do is going to show that I'm not scared. Wow. And so to your point of the Sneaker Preach, because Christ is in me, there's always a cross, something that I'm going to relate it to. And I realize when I got to get up and preach on Sunday, people are looking for you to open the Bible, read scripture, read the text, get to a story. And as a Black Baptist preacher, and early he got up. Okay. And just as this is a plug for Deirdre Jackson, as you did wonderfully this weekend at the WOW conference, and you illustrated and talked about the woman at the well. You didn't close. You didn't sweat. We had to douse water on you at the end of it, but people were moved because you got the message across. There was somebody else there that's what they do. So we had the dynamic of two different people because both of you were your authentic selves, and it came across well. And so that's me. So in that, the sneaker preach is I will preach a sermon on a microphone, plug it into an audio system, because that's just who I am. And it's all into the two commandments that we know: love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And I'll stop there before I start doing more preaching.
You know what? We're getting ready to go into a break, but I feel that authenticity, and I feel like someone is listening now who's trying to fit into somebody else's box.
Yes.
And is afraid to show up as who they have been designed to be because everybody else in the room is doing something one way.
Right.
And you're missing the opportunity to be the unique individual that could create a shift. And when I think about how you sneaker preach, you'll sneaker preach from a bike, you'll sneaker preach from a YouTube channel, you'll sneaker preach from this room, you'll sneaker preach sitting at a dinner table, and somebody just pops in with a Facebook Live. It doesn't matter because in that moment you are showing up as the new creation of Keith Pelzer representing his God. And the thing that is powerful in that for me was when we started this journey, after we finished the on-demand platform, the next opportunity that came were the live webinars.
Gotcha.
And I paused and hesitated about inviting both marketplace and ministry clients to the same space. And I worried about, well, how do I navigate this if they're both in the room? And it really came down to, if you've been given this opportunity in a season and time where people are barely holding on and need hope,
yes,
you have to show up authentically in where does your hope come from? And if people are asking you, how do you continue to be in a place of joy? How do you continue to show up and encourage others? How is your business continuing to not just survive, but thrive? If you know the source is tied to your faith, you can't separate the two.
Right.
And it's an opportunity for people to make their own decision.
She preaching, y'all.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to sneaker preach. He's a sneaker preach. He's a sneaker preach. But I'm just because I was scared.
Come on.
I was scared to authentically do that, even though I know that both are important.
Yes.
So I've been trained, I have a doctorate, I've got credentials, as well as I love the Lord. And those webinars allowed us to have a space with a mixed audience. And if you wanted to stay, fantastic. If you didn't want to stay, that's okay too.
Yes.
But I had to stay true to who I was. And for whoever is listening right now and you are doubting your ability to fill a space because you don't look like everybody else, or you don't sound like everybody else, or you don't do it the same way everybody else does, guess what? They are hungry for something new. They're hungry for your innovation. Stop being scared. Someone is missing out on the chance to hear your authentic voice because you won't show up in how you have been designed to be creative. Yes. So now, when we come back in our next portion, we are going to share actually how we walked into this. How did we go from a place of not having it, so for Living Strong, not having any platforms, to 5 different digital platforms that we now are continuing to grow and have integrated into the core of our business. We're going to walk through what we did as thought partners in that work and continue to unpack some tools and strategies. So stay tuned, stay with us. We'll be right back. Awesome. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a hand clap praise for Dr. Virgia Jackson, who just left the pulpit. To our Facebook community, she was preaching. Y'all say in the column she was preaching. I need y'all to say she was preaching. Yes, yes. Gabe said she was preaching. I knew it.
Do not log in on this.
I knew it. Come
but
on.
You know what? That's all truth. Like, I felt...
She was preaching.
Oh, no. You know what, Gabe, we're going to have to put you on camera one day. And
oh, yeah, we got to get Gabe on. You got to interview Gabe.
I don't know that I could handle both of y'all at one time. I might have to come off. Hello, Facebook community. Cheryl, don't chime in. Cheryl said, yes, she was preaching.
Ladies
Hello,
and gentlemen,
Lynn.
subscribe to the Convos.live. You see it right there on the bottom left of your screen. And then also, what is your page, your YouTube page? Because we got to get that going.
My YouTube page is I am Dr. Virgia Jackson. If you Google it, it will pop up Virgia Jackson. And subscribe, follow us. We are continuing to build content on that platform as well. Yes,
and it's
Facebook
good content.
community.
That girl good, y'all. Y'all got to check her out.
Make sure you're pushing the hearts and the thumbs up so that we can push this up into the news feed of others.
Now, look, you know I'm going to do something because most preachers do this. I feel this. I need about 5 of y'all that just trust the Holy Ghost to share this right now. I just need about 5 of y'all. Just 5 of y'all. Oh, 20 seconds.
All right,
okay,
20
camera
seconds.
on you.
Act
Camera
right.
on you.
Act right,
there
please.
There you go. All right.
All right,
Composure.
Facebook community.
Woosah.
We're coming back.
Deep breath.
Welcome back. So we are celebrating our 50th episode, going from zero experience. And I quickly tell people I have no broadcasting background. I have no communication background. I was a speaker and a teacher and kind of thrusted due to the pandemic, needing to figure out how do you navigate digital and media platforms. And as we were just sharing before we went on break, how do you do that and stay authentic to who you are, to your purpose, and to your calling, and not be afraid to be the unique one in the room? Because guess what? Regular is boring. Everybody's already doing that. Be the one to step out and do the thing that you have been uniquely called to do. And my partner in crime is with me on our 50th episode. We are absolutely sharing this space because when we decided to launch Living Strong content in a way that would go to digital platforms, I was watching what Keith Pelzer was already doing. And I said, you know what, would you be willing to teach me, coach me, and create space for me to be able to continue to thrive as a company? And he said yes. And from that yes, we have built 5 different media or digital platforms. And by the end of the show, I'm going to share all 5 and actually tell you how we threaded each one of those together. So you need to stay throughout the entire broadcast. But Keith, I know that social media has been a big part of, actually, that's where I realized your gifting and your ability to take what you have been known to do as a Grammy Award winning producer, and you've been able to take that creativity onto what I saw at first were social media platforms. And in this Instagram and, Google it culture, you have said the phrase, and I want you to explain to us what you mean by people hear what they see. What does that mean?
So the phrase is, you hit it, is people hear by what they see. It's one of those things where if I was trying to be real spiritual deep, it's like, God dropped this in my spirit. I feel it, right? And I quickly looked at, when the pandemic hit, I went back to what I already had seen. And what I did was I just looked at typical Zooms, the phone, the laptop camera, and I'm like, this stinks, right? And then I saw somebody and they weren't on live TV. And I'm like, their camera looks great, but they're home. And I'm like, what is that guy doing to look that great? And what kind of camera is he using? Then I discovered the idea of, cam links and cameras, and then OBS, and then discovering Ecamm, different platforms to get it through, because Facebook, everybody was mad with Facebook. And I'm like, and then you had to have an elite account to get HD quality. So I'm like, wait a minute. And here's what I knew. When pastors were going live, I watched people pause on something that looked good. So if a church had multiple camera scenes, people were more in tune to those, because you hear the preacher say, y'all say amen, and the camera goes to the other people saying amen. Then it came down to picture quality. I've seen people that I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about, but their picture was so good that everybody was just watching it and on it. And so I looked at it and I said, wow, this is crazy. So then I started relating it to fast food chains. There's a big business on photography on fake food that's supposed to represent the real food. So the burger that you see on Wendy's commercial is not a real burger. It's like made to look like it. And they ooze down the red liquid to make it look like ketchup. And it's like, because they know that the better the picture looks on the wall, you're more inclined to try the product. And so if people are scrolling, and everybody that's out there, you're listening on the radio across the world, you know that when you open up Facebook, you start scrolling. And if you're like me, you turn that little speaker off because it's a bunch of noise. So you actually have to look at everything you're scrolling past. And when you see something you're interested in, then you hit the hear button.
Yes.
So you don't close your eyes and go, let me hear what the different sermons are, the different broadcasts are. You look at it and say, oh, her hair is nice. Oh, that's a nice picture. Oh, look at that in the background. And then you listen. So you choose to hear. So there's a principle in there that people hear by what they see.
Yeah. And something else just resonated with me as you were talking about it. Again, talking about that connection between marketplace and ministry, and understanding that even in ministry, we can do things in excellence. We don't have to do things that are secondhand.
Right.
We can, absolutely representing the God that we serve, we can produce things that are in excellence. And in one of the growth webinars, we talked about the difference between success and excellence. That success is actually you trying to compare yourself to someone else, where excellence is you are pursuing the best version of you, so that you are meeting your full potential. And when we are producing something that we want to be able to have people log in and listen to, it is okay for it to be excellent.
Right.
So what was a game changer for you in this process?
One of the game changers I would say is learning how a lot of our extras became essentials. So each person has an extra to them where it's like you're kind of doing the most. And that is, it's good for you as long as it's not affecting other people. So if I'm so preoccupied trying to be a better athlete, a better man for myself, and I'm neglecting my wife, then the doing the most is not working. But when I find the time, if my wife is busy, my children are at school, and I got this open time after work to figure out how to stay active on the bike. So the need for a gravel bike, the need for a road bike. If I'm running, you run. The shoes for the winter, the shoes for the summer. Some people, by the time the winter comes, they go, it's too cold outside, I can't jog. It's like, if you were learning and you understood the extras of, you got enough sneakers. It's like, no, I need sneakers for the mud, sneakers for the rain, sneakers for this. Some people say that's extra. But when that season comes, you already have what was extras that became essentials in the circumstance you're in. So if I thought that the picture could be better, like you just said, I don't wait until the pandemic comes to better the camera, or I have to know how to shift when that comes. If you're not a shift person, or if you struggle in the shift, you do have to learn and do a lot quicker than the average person does, because you want to be ready for that. So, yes.
So what I heard you say that stuck with me is that when we are prepared, going back to what you said earlier, that sometimes when we are prepared with multiple options, multiple giftings, the different situations, if we're already prepared, then when something shifts, we're not trying to scramble to pursue excellence. That's already a part of our bag of things and options we have to pull from. So it's not waiting until the crisis to get good at something. Start working on your next while you're still in your present, so that once your next arrives, you can walk right into it.
Yes.
And I think, again, I'm not going to start because he's already teasing me. I just feel like somebody needs to kind of sit with that, because they're waiting to continue to sharpen their craft, continue to dig deeper into understanding what they need to learn next, because their nose is so dug into right now, they're not looking up. And so because they are missing the chance to cultivate several options, if we've learned anything this pandemic, is that stuff will come at you fast.
Yes.
So if we talked about what were some of the key things in this experience of being able to explore change, what has made you more flexible in those shift moments?
Wow. Flexibility in the shift moments. Confidence. I will say confidence. There's a time when you have to know that you know that you know that you know. And as the old school church, I'm a pew baby, so I got some cliches.
Yes.
But that's a moment where you rise up with it. Because I've dealt with moments of insecurity within myself. Like, other people wouldn't view it as that, but I can be honest with myself and say that was insecurity. So I figured out, what do I need to do, and I wasn't scared to shift. So like, bike riding for me is therapeutic. So on the one hand, it's like, oh yeah, I'm exercising, I'm getting it, body looking great. On the flip side, it's just like, I just get out here and pedal, and the birds is the choir. You know what I'm saying? The wind is soothing. And some of my longest rides are because I needed a healing. Okay, so I hurt my legs just to heal my brain. And it really mattered for me. So it's really confidence, and one of those pieces on that and confidence is being strategically simple. So finding simplicity. Every time when chaos happens, this happened 9/11. Shout out to Carvin Higgins, Ivan Barrios, Darren Henson. The four of us were flying to LA. 9/11. We're in the air. Okay, planes crash into the building, cut across the field. We come down in Kansas. We land. We had to figure out in that moment, and like the Philly in us came out. All these rental cars are going. What do we do? And we just pop. Everybody get on the phone. You get Hertz, you get Enterprise, you get Budget, and we're gonna get us a car. And then we got to go get our buddy from Chicago. Everything was just because of chaos. We had to back down where people, where's my bags? And blah, blah, blah. It's like, once it starts to get noisy, the chaos is already noisy. COVID was noisy. And so it was just like, what's the simple thing to do? We go back to faith cometh by hearing, right? And then in the platform that we're heard on, people hear about what they see. So you put scriptures on the screen, because people are looking at it. If it's muted and they drive by, look at that simple stuff. Not working so hard to yell into the mic and have everybody look at me, say, won't he do it? No. How are you helping everybody out? They are dealing with stuff. So how are we strategically simple? And that right there was the confidence in saying, simplify it. So I look at what's the common denominator. Take all of the math, scoop it together, and then find the common denominator. Remember the math page where you got the problem and it's real big and the teacher want this as the answer? They want that small, y'all can't see me on the radio. They want that small thing there. You have to take all of that and get down to 4 over 2, 2 into the 4, and you get, the 1, 2. I'm sorry, 2, yeah. Yep.
So quieting the chaos and going for the simplest moment. And for me, in my story, in those moments when we had to make those shifts, and I think in a very similar way, I took what I felt was, okay, what am I going to do? I had just written a book. For those of you who don't know, I had just written a book in the middle of 2019. I had every weekend in the beginning, almost 2/3 of the year of 2020, every weekend was booked with traveling to promote and sell Fearless Conversations with the Limitless God. And everything, revenue gone, I had boxes of shipment. And so there was a lot of noise coming at me, and getting still and getting simple. And I actually, in that change moment, got really still and thought about 3 key things that I wanted to ask God for. And even in a pandemic, I was like, okay, I'm going to ask and keep it really simple. The first one was to expand my network and to meet and learn from diverse people. The second was I wanted one podcast. So because I can't speak in person anymore, I just want one podcast, Lord. If you could give me one podcast so that I could add value to other people's lives. And the third was an opportunity to speak on an international platform in whatever way. And so got really simple. Like these are the 3 things that I feel like if I get clear about 3 simple things and then just drill home what it would look like to work towards those 3 things. And my WOW sisters will know, I just said at the WOW conference, God doesn't walk into your chaos. And so it's getting clear, it's getting simple, it was getting still. And if you kept track of what I just said, the first one was expanding my network. I have met people to join me on this radio show from all around, from Singapore to right around the corner, from California to DC. So people I would have never met without having the opportunity to be on Voice America. The second was one podcast. Well, every single time this show is done, it is syndicated to at least 5 different podcast platforms. Say that again. At least 5 different podcast platforms.
One more time for the Holy Ghost.
5 different podcast platforms. And then the third one was an opportunity to speak on international platforms. And with the analytics from Voice America, we've had some kind of touch point in 40 different countries at this point in time. It's getting simple. Quiet the chaos. Stop trying to keep up with the chaos. Actually slow down and get as simple and strategic as possible.
Right. Can I sneak a preach here?
Yeah.
So in riding bikes, and those people in your cars listening or listening in your headphones, there's 2 types of bikes. You have the bike that's free wheel, and when you go forward, it's going to turn. There's a bike I have in the garage called Fixie. Fixie Bike means that when the crank turns, the wheels turn. If the bike's sitting on the ground, it goes downhill. That means the crank's going to turn whether you pedal it or not. Only thing you can do is add momentum to it, right? But if it's going downhill, the downhill can have more momentum than your legs can keep up with. So a principle that you taught me is the time to not engage. The only opportunity you have is to take your feet off of the pedals and ride it out, right? But when it gets to the bottom, the road may shift, and now it's time to engage back in. You get rest. The person that tries to stay on the pedals, you're going to spin your legs out, or you'll basically crash or be too tired to get up the hill. So it's a time to just hold on to the handlebars and get your feet off of the pedals, because on a fixie bike, you can't stop change as it's happening. Okay, you can only react to the change. Okay, you can control things that may seem like a change, but in the environment of COVID and different things, you can only react to it, like vaccinations or masking and all. All we can do is react to it. And so that reacting with the do not engage, and then also your circles of influence.
Yeah.
So you, by calming down and being simplistic, you were able to say, hey, here's what I need to do. Because you made it clear to me. And I'm like, hey, I can do that for you. You said I got to look good and give this material to those people, and I got to sound good. And you knew to come to me. And I'm like, yep, I can do it. And I know that you like quality. And so it helped me. So here's another preach. It made me excited. Sometimes we don't know how many people are really helping us, or people don't know how much you're helping somebody when you're asking for help, or you're connecting with somebody's business, because sometimes we work with boring situations, and it never tests how great we are, because sometimes in your own circles, you're so far ahead of your circle that you're not intended to leave the circle, but you're not growing stuck in that circle. So you need the outside resource, or like the rings on Olympics, where one circle intertwines with another circle, or I think the word is, I forgot the name of it, but I'll get it later on. But the circles go all in together to find that one space. The name slips my mind right now. But putting all that together, you end up helping, and that's why connecting with other people, chaos will help you to connect. Without chaos, there's so many people. I wouldn't even know eCam community if it wasn't for the chaos. COVID caused chaos. In that chaos, we built community, and building that community, it allowed people a space to be that authentic self. Bike riding. The bike riders I ride with, I don't know where everybody lives at, but we meet up at a space and we do 80 miles out in the yonder fields, and we count on each other. We motivate each other. We help one another, and we come back. We go our separate ways. But it's because of purpose, calling, and simplicity.
But I don't want someone to miss what you just said, because it really struck me.
I just said what I learned from you. That's all I said.
You know what? So, because I think people are stuck in or, and it doesn't always have to be an or.
Got you.
There are times in which you are in circles, just as you said, where you are leading. You look around and you're constantly the one with the great idea. You're constantly the one with the skill set. You're constantly the one who is taking charge. And so you find yourself to be in the stretch of that circle. And sometimes people think, well, because I am leading in this circle, either comfort would be I can stay in this circle and continue to stifle my growth, but at least I'm the superstar in this circle.
Wow.
Which is the mistake. But it doesn't have to be that you have to leave that circle. It's finding an opportunity to connect another circle to your life.
That's good.
It doesn't have to be or.
Right.
You don't have to be afraid that I've got to leave all these people behind, but you do have to be willing to stretch yourself to touch into another circle of people where you might not be the superstar, but you will absolutely learn and do from that circle. And it will tap into another whole facet of creativity, networking, and relationships that will expose you to opportunities that you didn't even realize were on the horizon, that were being held back because you wanted to stay in a comfortable circle.
Right.
Oh my goodness. You saw how he just snuck a preach and pulled me into it. So I tell you, we're going to have to, I can't have you on twice because you make me nervous.
Oh, gosh, I'll make her nervous. Sheesh.
Before we leave, I want to make sure to walk people through.
Oh, good. It's almost over, huh?
No, you know what? You are doing an amazing job. He is so used to being the engineer in the background. So I want to make sure that I have an opportunity to actually talk about how we went from zero to where we are now from Living Strong's perspective, which I'm going to share after I ask you this question.
Okay.
From your perspective, which I think you kind of already answered, but you might have more to add on to it.
Okay.
So how do you respond to hurdles and roadblocks?
Well, the active way to respond is, especially with the words hurdles and roadblocks, you look at it and you say, there's two ways to look at it. You can say, oh, there's a hurdle. Or you can say, how high do I have to jump to get over it? There's a roadblock, but there are WAZE, there are ways around it. You got ways will give you at least three options.
Options.
It'll say this might take you like an hour, but you got to turn around, go over here, make a right, and go up over the mountain. You can still get there. Or can I plow through that? Maybe I got a 4-wheel drive and I can just, it might tear the truck up a little bit, but I can go through it. So the response to it is I can do it. It's not a no. It's not a or. It's and I must go through this. So another thing, 2 Corinthians, I think it's 4, and, yet, but, there's conjunctions to our faith. And so there's conjunctions to it. It's like, but not in despair. So you can't let the hurdles and the roadblocks put you in despair. It's kind of like, there's a way around this, and you got to do old school. He didn't bring me this far to leave me.
Yeah.
So that's just a moment. There's a bump, or maybe I got to wait for the construction to take place. And there's something else I can be doing while I'm waiting on the fix, but that doesn't mean sit on my do nothing.
Yes.
It's if I look at it and say, okay, it says under construction and it's a hurdle or a roadblock and we're going to work on this next week. It's like, okay, cool. That's going to open up. If I can't wait for it to open up, then I got to get through it, over it, around it, detour, whatever. Something's got to happen, but this is not the end of the road.
Yes, recognizing that wherever you are right now is not the end of the road, regardless of whether or not you are perceiving it to be a hurdle or a roadblock, is not the end of the road.
Right.
It's not the end of the road. And your spirit of positivity has been so powerful for me in spaces. There have been crisis moments. I will tell you, there have been crisis moments behind this camera where I have paused and I've looked at Keith and said, whoa, and he's like, you got this, and just do it, you got it. And that positive energy has absolutely at key moments been vitally important for me. And so I thank you. I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So with that being said, I want to make sure people understand strategically, because you just introduced get simple, but get strategic.
Yeah.
And our shift, our relationship, it happened because you showed up in a space in excellence that I was not seeing with other individuals on social media.
Okay.
And so I stepped into our relationship and said, can we create a partnership? Because I want to build clientele, but I don't know how to do this. And just your sheer quality is something I want to connect with. And your energy connected with me, because in that season, this is the first tip, I had to have a strict diet on negativity. I could not entertain constant conversations of negative responses, whether it was internal or external. And your positive energy was something that I knew would align with my intentional understanding that I had to have a diet on negativity. The other was beginning to, and you said this with your circles, when I am uncertain of what to do next, so I'm at the end of my knowing, right?
Right.
I don't continue to spin my wheels because I don't know.
Right.
So it's now look for other people either in person or in virtual spaces who have already done this before, because success leaves a trail. So look for those people. And then I've shared this with our girlfriend gathering group. Stop trying to navigate overwhelmed thoughts. Get your ideas down on and do a brain dump, and then identify the next strategic step that is realistic for you and can become scalable.
Nice.
So how did we do this specifically with the little bit of time we have left? So I saw Keith on social media, amazing eCam connections. His equipment was amazing. I went to him because I'm already a speaker. I started with the thing that was already in my reach that could become scalable. I'm a speaker. I had decks and decks of PowerPoint slides. So I took the current PowerPoint slides I had and turned them into an on-demand platform of trainings. And you walked me through how we could potentially just record. I started with what I already had and made it scalable. Once we did that, we then led to the live webinars for a whole year.
Yeah, a whole year.
A whole year. We did once a month live webinars because we had already cut our teeth on creating on-demand content for Think Effect. After the live webinars, I want people to understand, because, just as Keith said, because of the preparation in the on-demand platform and the live webinars, the door opened, clarity was there, the door opened for the radio show. Because I had been doing stuff live, I felt like, I don't have any experience, but potentially I can do the radio show. And then we began to repurpose content from the radio show for YouTube. Simple, start where you are, make it scalable. And then from YouTube, we packaged everything into the metaverse. And in the fall, Living Strong is going to be launching its metaverse. And so we now have created a metaverse platform where everything, access to all of our services, our media, is all in one place for clients to be able to see in the metaverse. And it all started with Keith Pelzer saying yes. We have 2 minutes. Why did you say yes?
So I thought about that, and I'll say this. There was a yes because I find myself partnering with prepared people, right? There's a yes, and here's something I wanted to just put out there. Your yes has to yield to evidence of preparation, or at least the willingness to adapt. Okay, so it's like sometimes we waste our yeses and we're scared to say no. I learned this in the music industry. There's a time when you have to tell certain artists no. It don't matter how juicy it is. You just got to say no, because you kind of know they're not prepared for this. They want to do it. They're jumping because of the chaos. But sometimes the jump in the chaos is a bad move, right? And then people have to learn when to do and when to learn. So chaos can make you have to be on one side of these. Either you want to learn to do or do to learn, right? And so the yes is with prepared people. So I learned to not waste my yes. And so not wasting your yes don't mean that you're bougie, you're stuck up, this, that, and the third. But you can drag yourself trying to help too many people at the same time, rather than to help prepare people, that the partnership with prepared people helps the unprepared.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
you got to scale it down to help the mass.
Yes.
And if you don't do that, you spread yourself out too thin. And so my yes was, you got your part together and I knew it. So everything that you had to do, you had it done.
Yeah.
So to people that don't know, I know our time has run out. In your computer, I knew that when you said, I need to present. So I looked at what you couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And I handled that and you trusted me to get it done.
Yeah.
And so vice versa, same thing. So thank you.
So I'm telling you, our closing remark is don't waste your yes. Reserve your yes for prepared people. Wow.
Come to your close. Go ahead, whip it out.
50th episode. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey and continue to support us. We will be same place, same time next week on the flip side. Thank
all right,
you,
we are all
Gabe.
clear. Gabe said we are all clear.
Yes,
you guys couldn't hear him in the
Facebook.
background as our boy Gabe. And he makes sure that we sound good on live radio. Ladies and gentlemen, so Miles, what's going on, Miles? Gabe, thank you, man. I should pipe you through to the eCam to the live audience that's watching on my YouTube page. Yeah.
All righty. Take
All right.
care.
Thank you, Gabe. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still here. India, what's going on? I see you, Miles, Mr. Camera Junkie. India says, thank you. She says, congrats on the 50th episode. Thank you, girl. I need that horn. Oh, wait. When India was in here, she rang the bell. So, India, this is for you. There we go. That's the India bell. I had it for 8 months and never used it. India came in here and rang it like 30 times. So, Virgil, you can ring the bell.
I love it.
You and India ring the bell. There you go.
50th anniversary episode. Jeanette, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know what? Kia, thank you. Don't waste your yes. You know that's right. Nancy, always so faithful in supporting. Yes, Nancy, it is okay. You help us in so many ways. Thomas, Pastor Sly, thank you. Lisa, thank you. Chayla, thank you. Karen, thank you. There are so many of you in here. I could go on and on and on.
Keep going.
But I tell you what.
What didn't you get to that you want to get to?
You know what? So we always share something in the Facebook community that the radio doesn't get. That's your benefit of being a part of the backstage of it all, whether you are on Facebook or YouTube. And so, Keith, the question I reserved for the behind the scenes group is,
I got music on the background.
I hear you.
So
I hear you. Look, we got music on episode 50.
India,
y'all.
tell her how we do. Tell her how we do, India. This is what we do. You know what I'm saying?
I know that's right.
We offer a bougie radio show, so now we just doing what we do right here. Facebook, this is what we doing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So,
let me compose you.
What advice do you give to leaders, whether they're in ministry or the marketplace, as they take risk in reaching people through digital platforms?
Okay, so I can be a little bit more relaxed, right?
You can be a little bit more relaxed, but still not too much. This is still my show.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Everybody's on your page. So for all my folk on the YouTube side, it's down in that corner right underneath Dr. Virgil Jackson on your screen. You can go to that. But on Dr. Jackson's page for you ladies, I love y'all. And men, if you're on there. The answer to that question, try being you rather than the best. Okay? Let me qualify that. Everybody should want to be the best at anything. I love the story you told about JL, about the vest, and knowing your daughter. She's cool, but it just seemed like when she gonna do it, she got that mother and Roger mixed in there, where she's just like, she gonna get that done.
Yep.
Ain't gonna be a bunch of talk. She gonna make it happen, right?
That's her.
And I take that as being a best, right? But the idea of what I'm saying is not contradicting any of that. But try being you rather than the best, right? The you, let's use JL as an example. The JL that I've come to know is like Uncle Keith is, she wants to be the best at it, right? But that's her. So being the best is never a end point, because best always moves and best is relative. It continues to grow, so it's relative, right? So right now, a couple people say, "Oh, you got the best broadcast." If I got big-headed in best, then I'm like, oh, I don't need 2 cameras. If I got big-headed in best, I'd still be using the other mic. I wouldn't have tweaked it. I wouldn't have found out because I added a light over here, I need to change something with the dynamic. So the me is always striving for the best. So if I continue to try to be me, best is in my nature. The idea of better is always in there, and the ER never reaches best. And so that's a good thing that it doesn't reach it, because Steph Curry, once everybody say he's the best, they're like, he's still out there throwing 50 shots up because he's not stuck in, yo, you're actually the best at the 3-pointer. But it's like, why is this kid still practicing? Because that's who he is.
Yeah.
And when you hear his dad tells the story, his family tells the story, they take you back to when people claim that you're the best at something, there's somebody that goes into your history and said, this is who they've always been.
Yeah.
So if you stay on
That
who
character.
you are, character, right? Character is best. So
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to take, don't be the best at it, but don't get caught up in the idea of, I'm going to be the best, because you're never going to reach that best.
But you know what? That relates back to something you said earlier in the show, and I didn't get a chance to underscore it because of time. You shared that one of the elements for you in this journey has been confidence. And I want to make sure that people understand that when he's talking about confidence, he's not talking about arrogance.
Right.
They're 2 different things.
That's good.
And understanding walking in confidence, because first you shared how your faith was so important in who you are authentically. And because you're going to show up in that authentic space, you're confident in who you have been called to be. You're confident in your purpose, and you're remaining consistent in that. Arrogance is what will shut all that down.
Right.
And then you get stuck on being the best, and out of arrogance, you don't continue to grow. And someone will always pass you up. The moment you get arrogant enough to believe that you are the it and all and everything.
You didn't cuss, did you?
No, I said it, all, and everything. Do y'all see? This is why he can't be on the show often. This is why he does not
That's
get a whole lot of time.
That's because India and Mr. Camera Junkie, they make...
This is exactly why he does not get a whole bunch of time. But you can't, because the moment you get arrogant, you literally paralyze your growth. Now, something else that you just said resonated with me with best, and recognizing being you rather than your best. And I will be transparent with this in myself, because you constantly are pushing me in this.
Oh, come on.
So it's recognizing that what's in me, my natural desire is to do things in excellence.
Right.
I am constantly trying to pursue.
Oh, you about to go somewhere.
Potential.
This is good. Go ahead. I'm going to tell you where we at. Go.
In my nature, it is there. But I think there might be some other folk out there who this might resonate with. I will stop. There was a period in time where I didn't go live. I was afraid of YouTube, because I felt like it wouldn't be perfect. It wouldn't be just the way I needed it to be. It wasn't going to be a certain way. And because what I deemed the best, that paralyzing place, that perfection place, that actually was a form of pride showing up that was continuing to paralyze my potential, because I was so worried about what somebody else thought rather than getting clear on just showing up as me. And there's somebody out there who has not pushed the button on go yet, because everything about what you wanted to be able to do has not been perfect yet. And the world is waiting for your voice. It's time. Stop worrying about being the best and just be you and get better at it through practice. That's all I have to say about that.
Who is this? V. Daniels. Yes, she says, Cheryl says, speak, and she says, perfection is the devil. Good Lord
yes,
Almighty.
yes.
And
Tell
arrogance
that.
will paralyze growth. Come on, y'all. Y'all talk here. Y'all talk here.
Yeah, it's truth. Hey, Cheryl, don't get him started, please. I'm not preaching. I'm just trying to
Wait, yes,
tell
she
the
is
truth.
preaching. Look,
I'm just trying
running
to
this
tell
thing.
the truth. I'm just trying to tell the truth.
Mr. Camera Junk, you see my buttons. I'm working these buttons. I'm working these buttons.
Now I'm not going to be able to get him off.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. We rocking.
He's playing with all these
We rocking.
gadgets.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. What we doing?
So what's your favorite tool that has helped you absolutely elevate the work that you are doing in multiple settings?
Oh, my favorite tool?
Yep.
You know what? My favorite tool actually is the technology, right?
That technology is that.
Because you know what it is? Like, so the tool is, tool is hard for me, right? So if we say tool, I'm thinking like faith, and let me get this camera put on you. So it got put on both of us.
Oh, goodness.
So we talking faith or tool. I would say learning, right?
Okay.
So if learning is a tool, again,
Okay.
and I'm not trying to overstate the Diana Gladney thing. It's the willingness to learn, or to say either you're seeking knowledge or you have to get the knowledge because you stuck. You know, it's kind of like if you stuck at home, you can't get nobody on the phone and you hurt yourself, you're going to Google it.
But can I pause right
Yes, go
there?
ahead.
Because I have literally this week, I had to talk to a client who kept circling around the fact, and she literally said, I don't know what else to do. And I'm saying, but have you done the new things that I sent you links to study?
Right.
And she said, no. I said, so you are literally saying you don't know what else to do, but you won't try the new thing that is right in front of you to begin to continue to learn. You're depending on, again, and that's pride. You might click off at this point, but I'm going to be honest, that's pride.
Right.
So it's recognizing I don't know. And instead of continuing to circle around what I don't know and then have the nerve to say, I've tried everything. When actually you've tried 2 or 3 things and they haven't worked, and you stop trying any further.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I interrupted you. But
No, that's good, because so one thing that happened, I had to learn the difference with my wife. I had to learn with Tina how she trusts the knowledge that I seek. So I have become in the house to figure out her, if that was a phrase, right? So, you know, I'm going to figure it out. So I made her some Brussels sprouts, right? Because we go out to eat. And she's like, oh, I love Brussels, Brussels. So, and she's like, oh, these are good. And I'm like, all right, I wasn't into Brussels and they're not much small cabbages, right? So I taste it and I thought about it and I'm like, okay, they got olive oil. I like Dave Chappelle. I taste cinnamon egg, like I taste a little garlic. I taste a little pepper, and I'm just like, all right. So I'm impressed her. So at home, I'm going to figure out how to do that. So I make the dish and she's like, this is good. My husband's so good. And I'm like, I just Googled it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and let's say this, let's be honest. I've heard preachers go, oh, we just Googling everything. And I'm like, Google's not the devil any more than Facebook was the devil when y'all called Facebook the devil. You remember?
Yes.
Oh, y'all on that Facebook? That's the devil that's not of God. Wait, where's my front camera? I'll put the camera right on me. They said, that's the devil. It is not of God. Oh, I rebuke Facebook. I rebuke Instagram. And then the pandemic came and it's like, oh, thank the Lord for Facebook. Oh, praise God for Instagram. Hallelujah. We got to try this here. And it's like, come on, bro. Like, because they stopped learning and doing. They didn't learn or figure out is people out therefore in the world. And if the people in our pews is on Facebook, that means they out there where the world is in the sanctuary. So that learning and that became a resource. So Google actually was my tool. I don't have a problem saying that. And here's the caveat, or if I would say let me qualify it by saying this. How you approach a resource like Google is very detrimental or it really matters. Because some people approach it as the only way to do it. And I say this, and I'm gonna tap into something I'm not gonna jump into. I'm gonna let it go.
Oh goodness.
I say this too. I am not a certified counselor at all. But when people ask, I say I'm not a counselor. They say, "But we a couple. We get married. We want to ask you something. Just a little word of advice." I say, if I could give you one thing, you have to have a committed mindset before you make that commitment.
Yes.
And what I meant by that is separate yourselves. Are you coming together with a person that is, as we said on your show, connecting with prepared people?
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't have to be in the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But that preparation should have some kind of unity. Okay, that if I'm gonna put the camera on somebody and push live on my page, they need to know what they're doing. Right. So I know that when you go live, you know what you're talking about. You know, when you trust me to push the button, I know what I'm doing. Same thing with connection. And the same thing with going to Google. I don't go to Google to say it's right all the time.
Yes.
I just go to, it's like when we ask each other questions. I don't ask you because you're right all the time. You don't ask me because I'm going to be right. I value your opinion. And you've proven yourself to be a resource that I can say, but you're also willing to say, I don't know. Google, the problem with Google is, and YouTube, they're not a person. And if you don't have a personal relationship, you know, Tom Buck, great friend of mine. I like Tom Buck. I watch Tom Buck. He needs to be on your show too.
Okay.
Him and Heather. Okay. I love Tom because I learned certain things in equipment before I met Tom because I trust his presentation. Getting to know him a little bit better, I trust that he's not going to tell me to get something that I don't need. So I can go to him as a resource. I can go to Sean Dock as a resource. I can go to Diana as a resource because I have a relationship with them. Nobody has a relationship with Google and YouTube. So you have to be wary of how you utilize it.
Yeah.
So you need preparation before you go to it. You have to have a mindset on knowing simplistically what's the outcome I need.
Yeah.
I just need to know how to make hot dogs on a grill without a grill. Okay, how do I do that? Know what you're looking for and don't just type in something to make up your mind.
And be random.
Yeah, and just be random. That's when it gets bad. So for me, with the pandemic, everything I didn't know, I said I need to have a quality broadcast. So my Googling is how to have a clear picture for live streaming. And then I had to do research on it. Because one of those things was, get this camera from Best Buy. No.
He won't let me go to Best Buy.
Don't do that. The other thing
it's not
was,
it's not a bad thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Virgil Jackson has a personal customized mic from Colorware.
Yes.
It matches her branding and this beautiful shirt that she has on. It's got a little gold in it. It's hot.
But you know what? There's something that you so in that, use technology as a resource, not the be all end all. Recognizing that you need to have a relationship, be clear on what it is you are looking for, and then use the technology as a resource.
That's big. Say that again, because I like what you said. That helps me to say it how I need to say it to people. Because there's the what I do, and sometimes I can't always explain what I'm doing. That makes sense, but say it again.
So be clear on what it is you want to do, and then use the technology as a resource. I want to piggyback on that. It was in my notes, but we ran out of time because there is something that I need people to also recognize. That you can Google it and you can use YouTube University to an extent.
Right. I agree.
Understand, because I'm in this business. I speak for a living. There's only but so much content I'm going to share free on any platform.
That's good.
So when you get to a point that you have Googled it, you have gone to YouTube University, but it is now time for you to next level it, and you need to invest in yourself. Recognize there comes a point when you need to take out, and I'm getting ready to date myself because I know people don't use them anymore. Take out
She's
the
about
checkbook.
32 years old, ladies and gentlemen.
53. I'm happy to say.
Come on here.
So
Come through now. Come on, 53.
But when you are at a point where you want to go next level, stop depending on free content and understand that you're going to have to make an investment at some point. In order for you to do the thing that is bigger than you is not always going to be free. And understanding that the opportunity, look, that's it right there, is not always going to be free.
Right.
Find out what it is, but that I think goes back to what you said. You need to be clear on what you want to do.
Okay.
So that your investment is intentional.
So we dropping nuggets here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are dropping nuggets. Please support Dr. Virgia Jackson. She is certified and she is a professional, and she has a whole bunch of other stuff she can help you out with that you would have no clue. That's just a little shameless plug for her. But seriously, what you said is on point, because people will make bad investments like a bad stock, right? It's kind of like Dogecoin or meme coins, right? Gotta be real careful. You may come out a winner, but you may tank, right? Because you make bad investments. You're riding with the investment because everybody's doing it. I'm not putting down any content creators, but there's a certain level of people, and this is just some people on my YouTube side can get mad with me. Mr. Camera Junk, you know what I'm talking about. They end up finding out the one thing, and I've seen this literally happen to me. If I go and say, this is how you make a color mic, somebody will think about, hey, let's package that. That's good business. But there are also vulnerable people that are coming into it because they think the mic is going to make their broadcast better. And you have the opportunity to say, hey, I'll show you how to do this. You can buy it off me, but that's not going to help you, because sometimes people are coming to you and they got a different type of problem, but they're believing that the one thing, Keith's got a great camera and nice mic, get me that. And then they're still stuck. And it's like, the problem is not your equipment. The problem is you don't know what you want to do.
Right.
Okay.
You don't have clarity.
Yeah, you don't have clarity. And they make the investment on, they're going to show me the 5 steps. I have something that I just didn't package because, and we didn't do this on the broadcast because I stayed focused and the Lord didn't give this to me to do. Clear. Camera. L, lights. E, cam. A, audio. R, record. Now, the time that I would have took to package all that up and do classes, I've seen about 4 people do exactly that. And their material that they're giving, people are making investment in dated stuff because their platform does not progress. And so in that, I said they missed their calling. And then when the money starts getting low, they're stuck back at 1. Okay, now you cashed out. But at the end of the day, significance is the word that overstands the success of you just made $10,000. That's good. That's relative to whoever made the $10,000. But now you're stuck and you got a bunch of people mad with you because you made them invest hard-earned dollars into showing them how to get a microphone when you don't even have that microphone either.
Well,
so it speaks to the quality. So let me say this. It speaks to the quality of, and let me say this for my Dr. Virgia Jackson. The way I know her, you will not invest in anything that she's doing that doesn't progress. Okay, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like for me, the example would be my course deals with upgrades. So I'm going to be clear. Mark Cuban said this, to be kind is to be clear, and to be clear is to be kind. I am always trying to be as clear as possible to say, hey, you can get this mic, but this one's going to give you the same thing. And the difference between these two is $230. Make your choice. If your choice is, but I want the more standard bougie one, cool. At least you know, and you won't look back mad with me later on to say, I'm broke because I did what you told me to do at the beginning. No, I'm going to be clear and say, make your choice based off of what is the end goal here. I need to broadcast to a certain amount of people and I need to sound good. There's a range of sounding good that Google, sometimes people go to it, and there are people that make you invest in the making you, they indoctrinate you into believing that this is the way to do it. And to me, they're not honest.
Well, what that says to me, going back to individuals who are listening and they're creating their platforms, their business, their dream. If you recall earlier in the show, when I prayed about the three things, the platform piece, the podcast piece, the desire to have the podcast was not about having the podcast for the sake of having the podcast. It was not about having a podcast to be able to get more money. The goal was to have a podcast to add value to people. And if you are clear on not only what you want to do, but why you are doing it, what are your motives behind the desire to either create a clear package or to be able to present content,
right,
or to be able to have the podcast or the YouTube channel. If you're there for the sake of, I want to make a quick buck, then that's going to end at some point.
Wow.
But when you are there because I want to add value to this planet and to every person who interacts with me, then your integrity, your authenticity is going to continue to have you show up and continuing to better yourself, to make investments in yourself, because you're constantly wanting to add value to other people. So that challenges you, and it becomes endless because you're significant to others.
Yes. I love it.
I tell you what, we are going
Does she need to do this more? Look, Mr. Camera Junkie's my dude. Like you said, facts, agreed, upgrade your skills, and know your purpose. I rock his shirt too. He's got agreed. I need wearing
a shirt. I need one of his shirts.
Yeah,
how do I get?
It's on Press and Sew.
I just became a member of Press and Sew. This is a Press and Sew shirt.
There,
yes,
Flip
we
Side
are. Yes.
Radio show. There it is.
We are now partners with Press and Sew, and we are going to be launching our affiliate with them on our website. We didn't even talk about that. That's coming up too. We have a whole new e-store that we are releasing in the fall as well.
Oh, Rachel's here. Look at Rachel. You know the clip of Rachel, she was getting on them folks. She let them know. She let them have it. Get y'all money right. Get y'all credit right. Come on, Rachel. Calling me an old man. Calling me an old man.
Well, folks.
Look, she ready to get up out of here.
50 episodes.
50 episodes.
50 episodes. Who would have thunk it at the beginning? And you know what? I almost missed my opportunity.
What was that?
Because remember the three things I prayed. So I told you in earlier on the radio show, I prayed three simple things. When the chaos broke out and there was constant noise, I created a diet on negativity, and I prayed about three things. And yay! Thank you. I want my shirt. I'm gonna wear it. I'll wear it on the show, I promise. So I prayed about it in one season at the start of the year.
You said prayer in season. That means you gonna preach.
Oh, no. I'm not gonna preach, y'all. I promise. I'm not gonna sneaker preach. He's the sneaker preacher.
She said prayer in season, Cheryl.
I prayed in one season and asked for the thing, and it showed up in another season, and I was scared because I was like, well, I don't have a broadcasting background. I don't know anything about digital platforms. Even though we have been doing these things leading up to this, but sometimes God will say, you asked me for this thing, and it's here. And because you are so focused on you getting ready to pass up on the very thing you prayed about. And now I have brought it to you. And guess what? It is bigger than anything you asked for.
Right. Exceedingly abundantly.
And because your eyes are on you, you're trying to keep this thing small.
Wow.
I leaned in and said, yes. I came to Keith. I said, Keith, do you think we could do this too?
You see what Lewis said. So his name is Lewis, but he goes by Mr. Camera Junkie. He's an expert in tech and stuff. But he said you sneaking to preach.
I'm not. Oh, is
Yeah,
that what that means?
Yeah, sneaker preach. Yeah, that's what that means. When we do that in our community, you know what I'm saying? So look, Lewis, on her page, on her Facebook page, she got her girls, her crew is over there. You know, Women a While. And all of her crew that she's influenced, they all over there. Us folk, we over here. You know, India should be going live soon, and the rest of y'all know y'all going live. Tom's probably live, but yeah, she didn't know what SAP, that means sneaker preach.
I didn't.
Yeah,
so I'm just telling you, you know what? You prayed about something in one season. It's going to show up in another season, and it's not even going to look like what you prayed about, but it is tied to that prayer, and your next is tied to your yes. Don't miss your opportunity just because it didn't look like what you thought it was going to look like.
Erica said, you better preach.
No. I
That's
didn't
it,
mean
Erica.
to.
Tell her.
I wasn't. I'm just celebrating.
Hold my potato salad. That's it.
50 episodes.
She about to shout. We got to put some shout music on for her. That's what I'm talking about.
50 episodes. 50 episodes.
Cheryl said, come on.
We are going forward. So 50 episodes, and we are reformatting things in the new season. Our next season starts at the beginning of June, and we still have open call. So if you would like to be on the radio show, contact my virtual assistant. That email address is radio@livingstrongllc.com. radio@livingstrongllc.com. We are still taking guest co-hosts for our next season, which starts at the beginning of June. All right, sir.
So yeah,
Can I please go?
I know you're ready to go, but you know what's crazy?
Yes.
Just about anybody in that eCam community that I'm friends with, they all have a flip side, and I know you can't get everybody, but it is crazy. Lewis, Mr. Camera Junkie, he is a wonderful father, and taking care of Aiden and doing what he has to do, and having a pivot and flip with his business, his life, and I'll leave that to a private conversation that, you know, see if it works with the show. And India has a crazy story. When we met, she was still in Brooklyn. Then circumstances happened. She had to move to Pittsburgh. Circumstances happened. She bought a house in Philly.
Yeah.
Yep. So all of these things happen, and she's crushing. She has a big, rich background in banking and mortgage and finances and all of that. But to have to shift, we all had to shift and pivot. And
if you haven't shifted in this season, I don't know what you're doing. You stuck in quicksand. If anything, we've had to learn is how to shift.
And so here's the thing that I wanted to share about you that's awesome. So something we talked about on the broadcast, right?
Yeah.
Is about partnering with prepared people.
Yes.
Right? I was able to, in the working, learn what I probably wouldn't have listened to you with. And not personal, it's just that just wasn't a space for me. I'm not thinking about what the trauma-informed practice training.
Trauma-informed practice.
Right. And I'm sitting there having to put the mic up.
Yeah.
Lighting you and stuff. I'm learning, because even when you would say, oh, I look good, for me, I'm like, I didn't light her face up over there. Like right now, we know we're both on here. I'm in the dark here, whatever. We just both smashed in here. But my brain is already on what we talked about. I'm going to have it where when you interview people, we got the camera over there. India was going to surprise us and come over. And I was going to have India come over here because she's a masterclass with the Stream Deck.
Nice.
She does a whole masterclass. Again, it's the investment that you make. Right?
I tell you, India.
She's not pimping nobody, nothing.
Yeah.
India studied her craft.
Yes.
She waited and she was patient rather than just throw it out there. And she's got it. Irvin Fryer's like, yo, she's the bomb with it. He's like, yo, India's dope. And it's like, yes. I was going to have India over there. And India was going to, do the production because it's a community thing.
Yeah.
It's a community thing. But everybody in here has a story.
Everybody has a story.
And ladies and gentlemen, this flip side, when you serve and because even when it's a business, it's still a serve to it.
Yes, it is.
Right? Because think about this. Chick-fil-A is a business.
Yes.
You pay for your meal, but they're considered happy to serve you. And a lot of people think that business eliminates the serving. In other words, I'm doing you a favor because it's a business. I'm helping you because nobody. No. The serving part of it is the lift. You know, and that's where better starts to come in its own play. That's where the momentum goes, and we're people that don't stop. So I feeling off of your energy and you being excited, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, all right, let's do that, and we keep doing it, and it's growing, it's great, and it's defining a lot of things moving forward. So you can say bye to your Facebook community. YouTube, thank you for joining me.
Bye,
Whoever's
Facebook
live,
folk.
I'm gonna be on in the comment section watching y'all. And all right, you done? You want to say anything else?
Oh, it's 50. Keep a girl in
Hold up, the
prayer.
way your face looked.
I was like, what am I supposed to say? Thanks so much. I love you, Facebook community. Thank you. No, well, all jokes aside, thank you those who consistently log in, supporting the radio show as well as the Facebook following. You are greatly appreciated, and I couldn't have gotten to this point without you. So we're actually all celebrating 50 episodes together. Love you much, and I will see you next week.
Everybody all over the world, put a smile on your face. Yeah. Just for a few minutes, we gon' talk about. You gonna cut everybody off?
Oh,
You ain't gonna let them rock out with the song? She about to cut y'all off. Facebook about to get cut off. Go to the combos.live, cause she about to cut y'all off.
Bye, folks.
Cut them off. I'm still over here.
But joy, for it's where I find strength.
You know what's crazy? I couldn't get my gym to work. I was hitting the button and the gym. Now it wanna work. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yes, indeed.
You see when it went blank when we were live? It went blank. That's because it wouldn't work. Now it works.
Because you need Indy.
Perfect peace.
India, I was jinxed. It wasn't working.
Indy, he just needed you. That's all.
You know what's crazy? When India came over, she didn't need my help. She just took over the room because she's already prepared. See that? Like when somebody asks you to speak, you're already prepared. You know what you're doing.
But joy, for it's where I find strength.
All right, I'm out. I gotta let it play. It goes to the F bar. Here we go.
I want you to say with
I
us.
still have joy, and I'm choosing joy.
I want you to say to yourself,
I can make
yeah, I still have joy.
joy.
I'm choosing joy.